Hey everyone. Yeah, I guess you could kind of say that this is a post-work, even though I'm off today and tomorrow, a post-work vlog. And oh, sorry, my thumb hit the mic there. Didn't mean for that to happen. But boy, I'll tell you, what a week it's been so far at my job. I mean, a lot is just going on that some agree with and some don't agree with. I mean, it's just been one of those weeks. I'll give you a good example. You know, I, I'll give you a good example. I'll kind of give you an example. You see, it's almost like it's almost like when you work at a certain job, doesn't matter what job it is, but there's certain times of the year where things will really have to change for the time being, or really have to start to pick up and, be a little bit more different. Basically, there are times of change, even if it's temporary. But my job is basically going through that right now. See, we like any retail store that is, are going through the transition of preparing ourselves for the holiday season. All right, we're preparing ourselves for the holiday season. That every store is going through this transition. So it's only natural, that even at my store, at my job, we're going through it. But hold on for a sec. Yeah, like I was saying, we going through a lot of change and, getting ourselves ready for the holiday season and all that. But man, you talk about definitely showing the change or definitely feeling the change. One of the most important things that they want to focus on for this holiday season is indeed the just checking the Giants Nationals. Nationals won, so there's going to be a game 4 tomorrow. But anyway, like I was saying, it's just been one of the, it's just that one of the most important things they want to focus on right now is what's known as SPH, scans per hour. Now, I understood when I first started that this is important. I admit that. But here's what got me. What I was told is you had to hit between 800 and 1,000. But as I have found out, and even my mother confirmed this because she used to work in retail, or at least in the market, in the stores and all that, scans per hour change. So now you got to have between 900 and 1,000. Or even 950 at most. But basically from what I can understand, you got to have at least 800 and 1,000 still, but to really show that, hey, you can get the job done, you can get the people out of there, get the customers out quick and fast, you got to have at least 900 to 1,000. Now, I understand one of the reasons they want us to have 1,000 is what? They're going to give us a free lunch? Is that why they want us to be at 1,000? They're going to give us a free lunch? That's it? Or whatever? We don't really know. Excuse me. Yeah, but like I said, there's just focusing more on that and everything. And like I said, I thought honestly you're supposed to have like 800 to 1,000 or whatever. I think you still do have to have 800 to 1,000. It's just more of the fact that they want to emphasize, they want to basically have you reach the goal of 900 to 1,000 so it could show everybody that you are fast enough to get the customer out. But here's the problem with this, and I think anybody who works in retail knows this. Anybody working in retail knows this. And like I said, I mainly feel that we're supposed to just do like maybe 800 to 1,000. That's the main goal. But I think what they're trying to do is emphasize that, hey, if we do, then our main goal is supposed to be 900 to 1,000. To basically say, hey, if you can go that fast, get that many scans per hour, it'll show that you can get the customer out in no time flat. But like I was saying, how is that even possible sometimes when you have a freaking customer with a lot of items, and then all of a sudden, for example, they say, oh, wait, I forgot something. so and so who's with them could be like, they could be telling so and so who's with them, can you go get it real quickly? And then you have people waiting. Now you could do basically what is known as abort suspend or abort void, whatever. Basically, it's where you scan one item, then you hit abort and that's it. Or you scan one item, you void it, and then you hit abort. It's like that'll help you, that'll save you. But in the long run, what does it do? It does nothing. It's absolutely really nothing except hurt you in the long run. And then on top of that, sometimes you don't have enough change in your drawer. Now, enough money in your drawer to give cash back. And what's funny is sometimes these people that are always doing this are people that want cash back. They want the cash back because they themselves, if you will, like say they want that cash back. And the reason they want the cash back is they give you a lot of money. Now, they could spend, they could end up buying maybe a couple of dollars worth of stuff and they'll give you $100. And it's like, what's the point? And you got to give them like $80 or $90 back, and that's a lot of your money. And then that takes time. And even if you have a cash, even if you have a register full of money, they still want to give you that money. What I'm saying is, even if you have a register full of money, you still got to give them that money. And sometimes there's constantly people doing that. There's constantly people giving you hundreds, 50s. 50s I can understand because you would have the money to do that. But even if you have enough money and you have back-to-back people that give you $100 bills, sometimes unless, their total is enough to where you can give them maybe something back in the teens, basically give them back in the teens, and that's fine, or the single digits, that's fine. But, sometimes even if they spend 20 or 30, and let's say you give them 100, you got to give them 80 or 70 back. And that's ridiculous. And sometimes people are very sensitive about the change you give them. Like I told you a couple weeks ago, I had this one old school guy, very old school Jewish guy. And I'm not trying to be offensive or anything because not all people are like this. But there's one old school guy, really old school, that basically, I gave him a lot of quarters. I apologize for the fact about this. And he said, well, I don't want. And he's like, well, I don't want it. So, yeah, there's that. So, and then some people, thankfully, lately have been like, oh, don't worry. If it's just small change, don't worry about it. So I'm thankful, man. I thank God for that because I have been praying a lot. I've been doing some praying lately, I'll tell you that. I've been doing some praying lately, I'll tell you that. Because it's been really weird. It's been kind of weird lately. And I'll give you another example of how weird and how focused and how stressful everybody's getting. Because obviously, corporate is coming down on everybody. Here's what I mean. We have a new CSM. Okay, we have a new CSM, and she's a transfer from another store. Now, when she was transferred here, she was like a cashier, like the rest of us. And all of a sudden, she's a CSM because she put it in her career preference. Okay, fine. Understand that. I can understand that. You put in your career preference, you get it, fine. And maybe you know somebody. I don't know. But I could say this, not a lot of people are kind of happy about this because she is still learning the ropes. And it's like, well, why would you make her CSM and not those that have been here years before? Well, not years, but a year or so or months before. Why her? And I think it's mainly because she may have experience. She may have something in her background that allows her to get this position that easily. I don't know. But she is learning. And quite honestly, I think that she, along with Melanie, who's also new, but she's been in that store almost since the beginning, they understand where we're coming from. They're like, look, we know you guys can do better. We know you guys are hard workers. We're not denying that because we've been where you are. But the one thing they do admit is that when management comes down on them, they unfortunately have to come down on us. And again, I can understand that. I can understand and respect that. And I do thank God that sometimes when they do come down on us, it's not as bad as previous CSMs. Like that one CSM, Michael. He's a good guy and everything. I'm not denying that. He's a good guy. But he was more of a career person than anything. And that's the truth. He was more of a career person than anything. So, anyway, case in point, what I'm saying is, case in point, they understand where we're coming from. And some of the management that haven't been in the position we've been in, or that we're in, and some of the CSMs have been in, sometimes I wonder if they do understand. I mean, there's one assistant manager that is in charge of the front area, as well as the outside, which is the carts and the cashiers and all that. And it makes me wonder if she knows what's going on. I mean, don't get me wrong about this assistant manager. She's nice. She can be friendly, but I think she's more career-oriented, as well as she's more paranoid at times. What I mean, and God, I don't mean anything wrong when I say this. Lord, forgive me. I don't mean anything wrong. I don't mean anything wrong when I say this. But I think, in a sense, she's nervous at times with her job. It's like she, too, is learning. And people wonder how she could have gotten an assistant manager's job. Because she's still learning. I mean, it's one thing to say, oh yeah, I'll take on this area as an assistant manager and give up the other area I was in. That's one thing. But you don't do it until you learn about it. Till you learn how things work around there. And that's what I'm talking about by the fact that I think, in a sense, she's a little paranoid. She's nervous. Because maybe she's kind of afraid she's going to get yelled at. And I understand that. I get that. That's why I've been praying lately. My mom's been praying with me. I've been praying a little bit when I've gotten there. And things have been okay. And the reason for that is because of this. See, about a few days ago, I get a compliment at the fact that I'm doing a great job, that I've improved as far as scans per hour go, right? Because now I'm like in the 800s. I'm between, basically, yeah, the scans per hour, they'll go down, but they'll also go up. Because I'm getting faster. At times I will pick it up, right? So, here's the thing. I get complimented by one of the CSMs. Then, that same CSM tells me, oh, by the way, the assistant manager needs to see you, the one that's in charge of my area. So I go and see her. She's basically telling me I'm getting complaints. Now, I didn't ask her who was complaining about me, but apparently, according to some people I've talked to, it's mostly in internal situations, not customers. It's mostly internals. They just use the customer thing to hide the truth. Okay, fine, I get that. I can understand that. But then, like I was saying, but then she also tells me, oh, by the way, you also have one of the lowest SPHs, scans per hour, up there. And I say, I'm doing my best. And she says, yeah, I understand that. I know you're doing your best. I know you're working hard. I know you're doing your best. But we need you at a certain level. And she tells me, look, you either got to improve, or you're going to get a coaching, or what you need to do is change your career preference. Because I don't want you to fail. I want you to succeed. And I get that. I understand and respect the fact that you want me to succeed. You don't want me to fail. So I explained to her that I'm doing my best. I explained sometimes why I don't always tell people, oh, I'm sorry, this is 20 items or less when I'm on the 20 items or less registers. Because sometimes the people, when you look at them, you just get that sense of, that feeling, that sense that this is the kind of person you do not say no to. Because there have been several people where I've said something like, oh, I'm closed, or something like that, and the person will be like, what? What'd you say? And then suddenly I would just change my mind and go like, never mind. What I meant to say was, I thought I was closed, but I'm open. See? Things like that. You know, you kind of get those people, and I tried to explain to her that situation.